it's out to deck. How you doing, guys?
Thank you.
It's like watching a film, but then all of a sudden we're in a film.
Roughly 5,000 metres above sea level. To give you an idea, that's about 700 metres on top of Kilimanjaro.
Research cycle is still going.
Was Losing Sight of Shore, man, what a film. I've just seen a comment come up from Chris Kers who says that film has the same impact on me the first time I watched it and in the year as what it did now, which is a testament to how good it is. And I agree, man. I've seen that film like 4 times and it's just as good every time. It's so inspiring. Welcome, guys, everybody watching back home. You've got Sarah, the director of the film here. We've got Lizanne, Natalia, and Meg, who are obviously on the boat and you've seen a bit of already. So amazing, guys. It's so good to have you all in a room. So what we thought we'd do is we'll throw a couple of questions first off about the row, and then we'll come on to chatting about the making of the film, Sarah. So it was honestly so inspiring to me, that film. I first heard about it when we were planning our trip around the world, and it was honestly such an inspiration to actually get me out of bed and do it. I was just saying to the guys backstage that it was my alarm rise up for quite a while to get me out of bed and actually try and do something with life. So thank you, guys. Really, very cool. Ever since I watched it, I've always thought I'd like to have a go at ocean rowing, but then I always think there's no way I'd want to do that, because when you're out in the middle of the ocean and those waves are as high as they are, and you're just on that little boat thinking, I'm really small and maybe a bit scared. I don't know. What are you thinking in that situation, Natalia? What's it like to be out there in those sort of conditions?
Gosh, I think every different kind of emotion you can imagine comes rushing to you. It was amazing. It was exhilarating. It was scary. It was peaceful. It was just everything, really. But the waves in the first leg, as long as we were facing the right direction and we were actually riding the waves, it was amazing. It was like, woohoo! I could see going up and over the waves. It was only when we were beam on or side onto the waves, because then we were more at risk for capsizing, and that was when it was quite scary, and we had to just make sure that we were always facing the right direction and one-armed rowing, and that was when things got really quite frustrating and quite tough. But I don't know, for me, I think it was the mix of every different type of weather that we got out there that kept it interesting.
Man, yeah, because some of that conditions, obviously, when it's like glass, I was saying to the guys, like, that is why I'd want to do it. We're in the middle of the ocean, nothing around, it's glass, it's maybe a whale or something. It's insane. Like, yeah, I'm up for that bit. But the other...
Yeah, as long as you don't have those counter currents that are taking you the other direction. So it looked beautiful, but the frustration was even more. So...
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty mad. Yeah. So what's it like when the wildlife starts turning up then? Lizanne, what's it like when you start seeing some of the creatures and stuff? We saw a bit of the fishing going on and things in there as well. What's it like?
I mean, I think that's part of the privilege of rowing an ocean, is that you get to see wildlife that you would never see otherwise. I mean, we had we called them fish frenzies, but they were bait balls. You can see it in one of the sections where Laura and I stuck our heads in. But honestly, it's just incredible. We had a whale circle us for about an hour and a half. And it got so close to our boat that we got sprayed by his blowhole. And yeah, it was honestly just the most incredible thing. We were very lucky with the wildlife that we saw. Birds and turtles and dolphins and fish, whales. What else did we see? Anything else?
Boobies.
Boobies. Not our own, but the birds. Bertie the booby, was it? Yeah.
I think we saw our own as well, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, what I thought was also, I sort of quite lucky at you three as well, is that you all kind of mentioned you never ever rowed before doing it. So in terms of jumping in at the deep end, that is quite literally what the deep end is, right? I thought was also quite interesting, I suppose, obviously, Lisanne and Meg, you obviously joined at different times. Now, I imagine that when you start something like this, when your particular start part is, Natalia obviously running the whole thing is extremely difficult. Maybe my kind of thought is when you're starting with a few of people who are also at exactly the same point, going for exactly the same thing as you starting it for the very first time, it is a completely different experience to starting something that's essentially midway, and you're going through, I imagine, what their sort of teething problems that they've already had and they've already experienced. So what's it like, Meg, sort of starting something that's already on its way, but you're getting used to something that they're already used to? Is it like is that easier for you? Does it make you feel more alone? Or
obviously, it's difficult to compare because neither of us, me and Lisanne, weren't in the seat of starting from the very beginning. Me and Lisanne hadn't met, but we were meeting each other exactly like this and kind of going, how are your muscles going? What do yours look like? Are you eating loads? So that was like really nice to build a bond when we were both starting at separate points. And then Lisanne left and I was like, I don't know what to do now. But Iz had come back, so I was talking to her about what her experience had been like, which was really helpful. It was really weird because there wasn't anyone else to compare it to, and as much as it was kind of, we wanted to, I definitely wanted to email the girls going, I'm having a really hard time, my bone, my muscles are really aching, how's it going? You just knew that they were actually experiencing hell, which was a bit worse than probably me being in the gym for a few hours. But I've actually just written a chapter on it in a book that's coming out called The Biggest Book of Yes, and it's all about my personal experience before I got onto the boat. Because I think it was quite different to the three girls that were on the boat, and obviously you don't really see that side in the documentary because we weren't filming it.
Very cool. We'll have to show the link for that or whatever. Is that coming out soon? Is that?
Yeah, it's launching on the 1st of August. It's through the Yes Tribe, and it's all for charity. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Very cool, man. We'll have to share that link. We'll get that on the feed afterwards. So yeah, really cool, guys. Really amazing stuff. So let's bring Sarah in. Sarah, tell us a little bit about then what it was like for you, because where did you first hear about this project and what led you to filming this? Because I'm sure there's a lot of, as a filmmaker, there's a lot of easier films you could have done than filming a Pacific Ocean row. I mean, it must have taken a hell of a lot of work to put this together.
Yeah, absolutely. This kind of came across my desk, as they say, in January 2015, and they left in April. So only 2.5, 3 months before they left. Fiona Tatton, a lovely blogger in the UK, just wrote me an email and said she had seen some of my work before. A lot of my documentaries are rooted in female empowerment and women's rights and equality. So she said, I just heard about these 4 women. They're called the Coxless crew, and they're going to set off across the Pacific Ocean. Thought you might want to know about it. And this is before Meg and Lisanne were officially part of the team as well. And I just couldn't believe that human beings did this, let alone that a whole team of women was going to attempt this impossible feat. And I just couldn't believe also that nobody was telling their story. I remember talking to Natalia and Laura on Skype like the next day, just honestly thinking like maybe they want to know what GoPro to buy. I had no intention of making a film about this. This is really not my wheelhouse at all. You would probably never pair me with this project in another life. But that's kind of what I loved about it. And the more I learned in that first Skype, the more I was like, I cannot imagine a world in which the story isn't told. And how is it possible that no major network has come on board? Okay, I guess I'm going to figure this out somehow. So yeah, only 2.5, 3 months later, I found myself standing on the dock in San Francisco, as you saw, at like 2, 3 in the morning because of tides, and watching them row away with, cameras and hard drives and microphones that I had supplied them with so that they could tell their own story at sea, as you saw. And then I was there on land along the way with my very small crew. And it was just an adventure of a lifetime for me, even though I wasn't on the boat. It was an adventure of a lifetime as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it there, but how difficult is it to direct something where you for the majority of the time you aren't there? Is it all about the planning in the first place, or is it kind of, do you have access to the footage, you sort of go and you sort of be able to analyze it, or how do you comprehend something like that?
It was really, really difficult, but Natalia was really my liaison on the boat. She was our director of photography at sea. I think the success of the film is rooted in the relationship between me and these incredible women that you see before you today, and the other three as well. It never would have worked if we didn't have a bond. And so the further they got on the journey, I think the closer that we got as friends. I was there every time they were on land. I felt so emotionally connected to them. And they became filmmakers every step of the way. I mean, none of them, Natalia has a history of photography, but none of these women are professional storytellers, filmmakers. So that's a huge challenge for me. I'm you know, at times 8,000 miles away, you know, trying to direct. So it was very difficult, but my saving grace was really the blogs that they wrote every single day on the boat. They wrote a blog and the notes app on their iPad, and then they were able to upload it with the sliver of internet that they had. And so everyone could follow along on their website and see what they were going through. And that was a lifeline to me, because a perfect example is the moment with Emma at the end of leg 2, where she's very upset and she opens up to the camera and talks about how she's fallen out of love with rowing. That really never would have happened, first of all, without Natalia's help encouraging Emma to talk about that on camera, but also that Emma was alluding to that in the blogs. So I could read a blog and say, hey, Emma, it sounds like you're going through a tough time. I'm sorry to hear that. Here are some questions. Can you answer these while you're on the boat? But keep in mind, I have no idea if she's actually going to do that until like a month later. So it was a huge leap of faith, a ton of risk involved, and it is very much a miracle that this film even exists today. But it was absolutely 100% worth it to go through all of this, to be able to be on the Zoom today. So yeah, it was really an extraordinary situation in all ways.
Awesome. I suppose that kind of leads to a good question, Natalia. I mean, you are doing something that's so extremely difficult. How can you keep motivated to essentially be the director of photography on board? And all of you, how do you think, I'm going to vlog right now? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything else apart from laying here back out in row. So yeah, how do you keep motivated to do that part of the expedition?
Well, I think for all of us, the blogs were actually a real motivator and something to do out there. You know, it was a real break from the monotony that we're experiencing. And because we tried to blog every day, each of us would blog every 4 days. And, you know, the blogs began quite mundanely, like this is what happened, you know, quite practical information. And they began to develop and become a lot more creative over time. So a lot of us would actually spend the 3 days in the run up to our day writing the blog, thinking about what we were going to talk about and brainstorming ideas. And I think with the filming as well, I mean, obviously it was really important to capture what was happening, but in the hierarchy of safety and importance and what was happening on the boat, the cameras actually in the filming came quite low. So safety was our number one priority. And with our solar panels, our charging, you know, our batteries needs to be fully charged, and the cameras, again, sorry, Sarah, were quite low on that priority scale. And I think it also just gave us an opportunity to look at things from a slightly different perspective when we were looking at things through the lens. And for me, it was quite simple to maintain that motivation, because we were surrounded by this incredible beauty that was so unique. And I wanted to capture that as much as possible, you know, that 360-degree horizon and those otherworldly sunrises and sunsets and the light that just shimmering on the water and those different colors and the 50 shades of blue that are out there. It's amazing that when you really focus, there's so much out there that is so wonderfully unique. So we wanted to try and capture as much of that as possible, as well as our stories.
Natalia, where was it unique, or was it one of those things, you know, where you get a great view and you're there for 10 minutes, you think that was all right, and then you think, you know, is it the same impact the following morning when the sun rises, and then the same again, or are you like, God, another beautiful sunrise on the ocean?
No, it was, every moment was magical, because no sunrise is ever the same, is it? The light is always slightly different. The colors will be different. The cloud formations will be different. You know, some of those you were mentioning night times out there where the ocean was still, the stars would reflect in the ocean, and it was like we were rowing through these galaxies, and the moon very much guided us on those journeys. And there's all those different stages of the moon, and we became quite connected to nature. And I think when you're immersed in nature, it's the perfect opportunity to be in the moment, isn't it?
Sorry to interrupt, but when it had been flat for 4 days and you've been looking at the glass for 4 days, we all wanted a change in the weather so we could see a few waves. We totally did get a bit bored of it. As much as it was beautiful and stunning and everything that Nats has just said, I really remember thinking, come on, give us some waves. But then you have some waves and you
go quicker,
for
sure, to get this,
to shake it up a bit, because it made it just beautiful and amazing. But when you're having one of those days where you just think, for God's sake, get me out of here, you just want something a bit shaken up to that was just so beautiful and rose tinted, Nats, and I was sitting there thinking, I remember like 5 days that we had of glass, and we were so excited for the waves to return. As soon as they returned, we were like, why have they returned? Now we want the glass again.
Exactly.
So Lizanne, when you got to the end of your leg and the end of your bit, what was that feeling like? Because obviously, like Meg just touched on it a bit there, there's a lot of times you're thinking, I just want to get through this, want to pick up a bit of pace and get there. What was it feeling like when you actually touched down? I saw your face when you got the sea legs, when you actually got there as well. What's it like to arrive? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because obviously there's such a build up to arriving, and you honestly just want to get there. I remember, I think we were about maybe the last 2 weeks before we got into Samoa, the weather picked up again quite a lot, and the waves were crashing all over the place, which meant that we were basically wet the whole time. And we just had, like, my skin was itchy, we had salt sores, our hands were calloused, and I was just in so much pain. So I was like, I could not wait to get to land, to just be dry and have a shower and have a bed that wasn't moving. So definitely just so much excitement. But obviously for me, it was so bittersweet because I was really sad to say goodbye to the girls. So bittersweet is how I would describe it. But I was so excited to actually get there. And also we were running out of food because we on the second leg, we were only supposed to be there for 60 days and it ended up taking 97. So yeah, I think we were basically down to the last beef curry, which yeah. Man,
that must have been so hard to do that. We were saying when we were watching it that, like, if you go to work, you have to do a couple of extra hours. Like, for God's sake, you guys did an extra 37 days at sea. It's an extra month's worth of work and torment and rowing that you haven't set yourself up for psychologically. That must have been, it's what we see in the documentary, just how hard that is. I can't fathom just how difficult it must be.
I mean, I think that's the thing, is that, you know, we knew that this was going to be a psychological challenge, and that's what drew us all to it. But I think when you psychologically prepare for something to take 60 days and it ends up taking 97, that played with all of our minds. And then right at the end, when we nearly missed Samoa because we were being pushed east. So yeah, we weren't really sure if we were even going to make it. So an extra 500 miles. I mean, I think none of us could get our heads around that. But I think the end goal was always incredibly important to all of us, is just to finish and to make it and to be the first people to cross the Pacific Ocean. So I think we would have done whatever it was going to take. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Very cool. And I guess it was a huge challenge, but I mean, it was a challenge that was very worthwhile because we all get so inspired and stuff, but it also had another side to it, didn't it, Meg? All the charity fundraising side of things. And you guys raised a hell of a lot of money, right?
Yeah, in the region of 70,000, I think, for breast cancer care and walking with the wounded. So it was split halfway down the middle.
Whoa.
Which was, yeah, really cool.
That's mad, man. It's unbelievable, guys. Well done to all of you involved in raising so much money. And it's worth it. It's one of those things you think, you know what, they is something you should donate to.
I think it just
really.
we had a hashtag, everyone has got a Pacific to cross, and I think it just really kind of lots of people related to it because it didn't really matter what your Pacific was, and I use that in talks now. I think Nats, you probably still use that in talks as well, just that it doesn't matter, you know, whether you kind of doing a maths test or whether you're running a marathon or whether you're even kind of working your way through terminal cancer, whatever your own personal challenge is, everyone has got their own Pacific to cross.
Say that because it's been coming up on the stream as well. People have been saying it sort of like that's kind of resonated from the film as well for them. So you are quite right. Guys, there's been loads of questions as well. I'm conscious of time, but I don't want to keep it too long. There's a question that we always get asked about art stuff, which I guess I could ask all three of you, which you probably get asked as well. Would you do it again, Natalia? Would you get out on the Pacific once more, or?
No, the short answer would be no. It was an incredible experience. I wouldn't ever want to replicate it with a different team because these girls are just part of me now forever. And I think I'd rather do something completely different just to challenge myself even more.
Yeah,
I would do it again.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do it again either, but I'm worried that my daughter's going to want to, and I don't want to.
I always feel with these things, it's kind of, I'd never do it again, but would I do it the first time knowing what I know now? Absolutely. That's kind of
100%.
100%.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Matt, have you got anything to add there, or?
Well, I mean, not on that, mate, but there was another question that caught my eye, and it was, guys, is there a toilet on the boat? That's just one of those fun
Bucket
things.
and chuck it.
Bucket and chuck it. There we go. So there's that one answered, guys, in the feed. Thanks so much for coming on. Sarah, I've seen a lot on social media. You've just brought out another film. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is you've been working on more recently?
Yeah, my latest film is called Nevertheless. It's very different from Losing Sight of Shore. It's all about sexual harassment in the workplace, and I've been working on that for the last 2.5 years. So we finished Losing Sight of Shore in like 2016, early 2017. We were on Netflix for 3 years, which was amazing. Now the place to see Losing Sight of Shore is iTunes or Amazon. If you want to purchase a DVD, you can go to losingsightofshore.com and own it forever. But yeah, Nevertheless is my latest, and it really delves into the systematic issues that got us to the Me Too movement and where we're hopefully going as a society from here together. So yeah, I hope to make many more documentaries in the future.
Lovely stuff. So that was obviously the Q&A we had with the guys on our last Armchair Venture Festival film night from Losing Sight of Shore and Emmy Award Winning director Sarah Moshman. What a film. I can't believe we got it in the first place. And then to have the guys come on after and have a good chat about it was bloody superb, to be honest with you. So I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was a great success for the film night as well, especially after the one before. We had a couple of hiccups. This one was smooth as a baby's bot in many ways. Did you enjoy yourself, mate?
Yeah, I did, mate. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and really great to have the guys on there and have a good chat about everything they do. I think it was absolutely incredible, that film. Brilliant. I felt like I'm meeting my heroes in many ways in that one, mate. They were just, they are complete heroes, I think. Unbelievable. Yeah. And to raise 70 grand as well, which is absolutely incredible. So
not bad, is it?
Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. That was fantastic. So yeah, that was just a bit of a bonus Q&A. Obviously, we're uploading weekly content. You can find sessions from the Armchair Adventure Festival, all that kind of stuff. So what else has been going on, Reece? You had a good week?
Yeah, not bad, mate. What I would say, guys, is that if you've enjoyed that from the Armchair Venture Festival film night, bad news is there's not necessarily quite your normal film night next month, but there is a book launch party with an adventure film. So you could say it's still a film night, but with a bit more. So it's not really bad news. It's just good news.
I think it's good news, mate. It's a film night with a book launch. That's the way I think we should be talking about it. And it's going to be it's a surprise what the film's going to be. We're not going to tell you just yet. That's coming up. And then they've got special guests coming on as well from the adventure world. And we're going to take a look at Our Ridiculous World Trip, which is the book I've written and we've brought out about about our journey around the world by scooter and sidecar. Yeah, I think it should be a good one, mate.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, I think people are going to thoroughly enjoy this one. I'm going to strive for it to be the best one yet.
Okay, nice. So, as always, guys, if you want to find out what that adventure film is first, before anyone else, all you got to do is sign up to be a patron. $1 a month. I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? So cheap. And yeah, you get to go and find out who's coming up. So, obviously, you'll find that out in the end anyway. If you do, just hang on and wait. So,
and the date, by the way, is Monday, the bank holiday Monday, end of August, whichever the day is. I think it's the 30th. Take a stab at that. 31st. And yeah, as long as you really keep that date, I suppose it doesn't really matter when you know what the film is.
Really. Yeah. But it's going to be the same film either way.
Yeah.
So, still struggling to see the benefits and all this Patreon stuff, if I'm honest. But some people have. We've got 14 of them. So, if you want to be the 15th, magic number 15, just jump on there. It's $1 a month. Or $25 a month if you like. That's another option. Up to you.
You really get the same thing.
You get the same stuff, apart from the sticker. So yeah, that's it. What a hoot it's been. Chatting to the guys from Losing Sight of Shore. Don't forget, if you want to, come along to our Ridiculous World launch party, Monday, 31st of August. And of course, you can pre-order the book now. We'll put a link in the description here. So catch you then.